My secret superpower is my knack for attracting anything pop culture. Like, I don't even go looking for it. It just comes to me and I know anything that's happening that's part of pop culture.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Flo.
Hi.
I do not think I have any superpower, but I do have a great hunger for entertainment, all things entertainment. The easiest way to get my attention or to change my mood if I'm in a bad mood is to put on anything movie or TV show related, and that's it. You have my 100% attention. So yeah.
And that is Tanvi.
Hello.
A special mention to our social media partners, Bollywood Direct.
You can find them on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Bollywood Direct.
And we are continuing with our Quintessential Hindi movie series. And to find out how we define quintessential, check out our intro episode.
Every podcast is divided into 4 categories: fashion, acting, favorite songs and our favorite scenes. Hi and welcome to another episode of Movie Wala podcast. And today we are talking about Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, another movie in our Quintessential Hindi movie series. This movie came out in 1988. Prime Minister of India was Rajiv Gandhi. And one interesting thing that happened was the voting age reduced from 21 to 18 in India. The director of this movie was Mansoor Khan. This was his first movie. The producer was Nasir Hussain, who is Mansoor Khan's father. Music was by Anand Milan. And these are 2 people, Anand and Milan. And it was introducing 2 actors, Amir Khan and Juhi Chawla.
Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak is the story of Rashmi and Raj, who fall in love and find out that their families have a long generational feud, and they elope. The rest of the story is about what happens when their families find out where they are and come after them.
Alright, let's dive into what are your initial thoughts about the movie. What did you think?
I absolutely love the movie. Rewatchability score is like 100% for this movie.
Right? I mean, we didn't forward a single scene. We didn't have like a single moment where like, oh my god, let's get done with this and fast forward it.
Yeah.
It was such a feel-good movie, and I was actually telling my husband, because he doesn't like watching movies which are sad or have a sad ending. And he hasn't ever seen this movie. So I was telling him that he has to see this movie, because after watching it again, I was like, there was, except for like the last 30 minutes or 20 minutes, there is not a dull moment in this movie. There's nothing sad about it. You actually have a really good, and you get excited. You want to know, there's a curiosity towards the end, what's going to happen. So I'm like, since he has never seen it, I'm like, you're going to enjoy it so much more.
True. I'm so jealous of people who haven't seen the movie, and then when they get to see it for the first time, they're like, oh my god, blown away, right?
I know, because such movies are not coming out, and I feel like we don't get to experience that feeling anymore. So people who haven't seen these movies, they are in a unique position to feel all of these wonderful feelings at a grown-up age, right?
Like, absolutely, I agree.
So what did you think about the fashion in this movie?
So it was made in 1988. So I think it's kind of like a weird phase. It's kind of like an 80s fashion going to the 90s. So I don't know. I liked it. It was not like cringeworthy or anything, but it's just that on a general note, I felt like, the fashion in the movie, it didn't kind of stand out to me as much. Like I said, it wasn't bad at all. But I feel like it just didn't stand out for me. What did you think?
I actually liked that it didn't stand out, because sometimes I feel like, movies are not supposed to make a fashion statement. Like, if they end up making, that's great. But if you're not focusing on people's clothes and jewelry and background and music, I feel like the movie's actually doing its part. Like, it's all blended in so well.
That's a good take on it, yeah.
And I really liked how real everything felt. Like, it's a love story. It's a Hindi movie. So everything has, and there was drama, there was emotion, there was everything. But it still felt like it could happen to anybody around you. It seemed very real. So I liked that fashion was very real. And I especially liked Juhi Chawla's wardrobe, because I felt if I lived in India, that's how I would dress. And I kind of I have a special soft spot for modest Indian clothing with earthy color tones, which are not really bright, but more in like maroons and reds and, softer colors. So I kind of really liked her wardrobe, because I felt like if I could, I would actually dress like that.
So when the clothes don't stand out in a movie, it means that the characters have kind of owned what they wore, right? It was just part of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. My opinion. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah. Oh, so one more interesting thing about fashion in this movie was I was Googling fashion, costume designers for this movie, and 4 names came up, out of which 2 of them are actually, one is Amir Khan's own sister, and then another one is Amir Khan's cousin sister, who's also the sister of the director of the movie. So it was kind of like a family thing that was happening,
I know, it was like I think they just probably they helped them out, pick out what to wear, and it really seemed like clothes they've picked out from like every day outside, so it felt like they should just give them credit because they helped them shop for the cast or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It actually looked like that, they just shopped at regular places and picked out clothes for the character,
Exactly.
which is perfect. Yeah, so that was fashion.
Let's move on to music. The music in this movie is iconic. Like, it is, I think one of the reasons that made this movie really popular was the music. And I just love the music. It's like there was music coming up. The lyrics hadn't even started and we were watching it together and I was like messaging you, I love this song. And you were like, there's no song. I can't hear anything. And I was like, no, it's just, I'm just addressing the music right now. Even the prelude or,
Yeah.
I was like, even that itself is bringing out all these feelings in me. So yeah, the music is so romantic. It is so wonderful. Even like the first song, which is not romantic, Papa Kehte Hain. I'm like, it's like quintessential song for kids, like when you graduate or anything, you have to have that song.
I was just going to say that the song was it's kind of like a passage into adulthood for every 90s kid, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
This song would play, it has to be there in our school farewells and things like that. Yeah, absolutely adorable song. And speaking of that song, there was a little cameo by Amir Khan's first wife,
Rima. It was so sweet. I mean, everybody in the song, I loved the choreography as well. Like, I was looking at everybody and they were doing, even that couple who does like a jive, like they do jive and it's like, they do it to perfection and it's like, oh my God, where are these people? Like, who does this? Like, even, I don't know, even anybody in my age group who can do it so well. So
yeah. So that song is like very memorable in so many ways.
And even the lyrics, like if you think about it, they're so different. Like there hasn't been ever a song which, use papa or, stuff like this, like the words, they are very like part of life, everyday language. So, and they were written by the veteran lyricist Majrooh Sultanpuri. And in the past, I've liked a lot of his work, but I think in this movie, I guess this is the first one where I fell in love. Like, oh my God, all the words, everything.
And also, this was the first thing Mansoor Khan did when he wanted to make the movie. So he replaced his dad's regular R.D. Burman with the fairly new musicians Anand Milan. So it kind of broke his dad's heart, but then we know what happened to the songs.
Well, and all the songs are sung by Udit Narayan and Alka Yagnik. And this was one of their first albums that they worked in. And before this, they were not popular at all. So this is kind of their first big break as well.
This movie kind of opened up opportunities for everyone who was part of the movie, I think, right? Right from Amir Khan and Juhi Chawla to Anand Milan and, like you said,
except for the lyricist, he was 70-year-old. So imagine, he wrote Papa Kehte Hain at the age of 70.
Wow, such a fresh young song.
I know.
Couldn't imagine a 70-year-old writing that song. Wow, that's amazing. That's beautiful.
Okay, so what did you think about acting? So this, considering that this was Juhi and Amir's first movie, what did you think? How did they do?
I thought they were absolutely perfect. Both of them. It didn't feel like it was their first movie, even though it was. I think Juhi Chawla just had like one movie that was a flop, I think, before this movie.
Yeah.
So she was just like one movie old. And she was Miss India. So you would not expect a Miss India to actually do so well, in her second movie, right? But my God, both of them, and their chemistry was very natural and amazing. And the acting was so real and so, it was beautiful.
And they were so cute. Like their faces are so innocent and cute. And like they haven't like been yet tarnished by the world and its miseries. They're just so young and youthful. And the way they look at each other is like, oh my God, this is true love. And remember when we were talking, like how Amir Khan looks at Juhi Chawla at one of the parties and just falls in love? No, he actually looks at her while riding horse. And then that's it. And from that moment, that picture stuck in his head and he falls in love just instantly without even having ever spoken to her. And we were talking like, this is exactly the unrealistic criteria of how you would find love in life was like put in our heads. And ever since, we are like, oh yeah, someone's going to fall in love with us, like just like that. And it never happened. I was like, where is this guy who's going to fall in love with me?
I remember the conversation we had. Yeah. So love at first sight, Bollywood kind of set such unrealistic expectations for people growing up in India. So all the girls growing up always assumed that a guy would just look at you and fall madly in love. Obviously, that never happened.
No, instead you find these leeches who stand by the road and like do horrible things and stare at you.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're not supposed to stare at me. You're supposed to fall in love with me.
Yeah. So we ended up having roadside Romeos.
I know. But I did also wanted to mention Juhi Chawla's friend, Shehnaz Kudia. I think her acting was something that I actually I have seen this movie several times over the past 2-3 decades.
Right.
And her acting is something still I look forward to, like wait for her to come on screen. I was like, oh, when is that, chirpy little person going to come and like brighten up the space?
Right.
So yeah, I really like her and I have tried to find more about her, but there is no information out there. So if anybody is listening to this podcast and knows what she's up to, please let us know. Because I'm not just curious. I really do like her work. And I also, have seen her and I know her from different movies. So
yeah, she was also on, I think,
Jojita Wahi Sikandar. Yeah, she was the friend.
Yeah. Like she has her own screen presence and you actually notice her when you're watching a movie, which is amazing. And I read some vague information online. Apparently, she's now in the US, and then it said that she works as a babysitter, and she has a daughter who's like 18 or something, and she's into singing. Oh, and you know what? I think she got married to Lucky Ali's stepbrother, Mahmood's son.
Yeah.
Not Lucky Ali, but the other son.
Yeah, Mansoor Ali.
Mansoor Ali, yeah.
I need all of this to be confirmed. Like, I want,
Exactly.
it's so random. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with whatever she's doing. It just seems very random trivia.
Yeah.
I mean, if that is what she's doing, I'm interested in knowing how did she get there to do that, and because I'm happy to see her on screen again. So if
I know, we would love to see her on screen again, and if she lives in the US, maybe we can contact her and get her on the podcast. You never know.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Special shout out to her, and also Amir Khan's cousin. Played by Rajendranath Zuchi.
Yeah.
Their chemistry was so good between him and Amir Khan. So when Tanvi mentioned, Amir Khan falls in love with Juhi Chawla and it's kind of love at first sight for him. But he finds out that she is the daughter of one of their sworn family enemies. And then the cousin is kind of like trying to tell him that, no, it's not a good idea for you to fall in love with her. So, get her out of your mind. And he actually listens to him and he wants to forget about her, but he can't. So the chemistry between the cousins and the conversations they have about this is very natural and it's really very sensible. So I really enjoyed that part as well.
Yeah, and I remember thinking while watching the movie, like I would love to have like a cousin I could rely so much on, or just have a friend who's so sensible, committed and sensible and thinking of your well-being. So yeah, I really liked that character as well. Both of the friend cousins were excellent.
They're brilliant, yeah.
And Raj Joshi, he's still working in the movies. Like he's done such amazing work over the years. So he's done pretty well. Like I've seen him. I recently watched Viceroy's House. He was a chef in that. So.
Right. Oh, by the way, that's a beautiful movie. So if you guys want to watch it, it's on Netflix now. Yeah, so that was good. And then there's so much mystery around the director. So he is actually Amir Khan's cousin, as we all know.
Right.
And then, so he's from IIT and then he went on to MIT. So pretty brainy guy. And then he got into movies. So he wanted to direct this movie. So this was supposed to be his first movie. And when he kind of pitched this idea to his dad, apparently the dad was not sure whether he can pull it off. But we all know what happened. So
he actually reworked the whole script because initially Nasir Hussain was going to make this movie. But then his health was not keeping well and he was not able to go through with it. So his son actually wanted to make Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. Mansoor wanted to make that movie. So he went to him and he said, okay, that sounds good, but this one's ready to go on the floor right now. But I'm not up to my health to do this. So he asked him to take over. So when he took over, he was like, okay, he liked the premise of the story, but he was not okay with the script and the screenplay. So then all of them, including Amir and his sisters and everybody together, they all reworked the whole script up to Mansoor's aesthetics and sensibilities. So I think all the things that we are liking in the movie, they go to credit to Mansoor. Although the credits still say that all of the writing and everything was done by Nasir Hussain.
Right.
But having listened to a bazillion interviews over the last 3 decades, the truth is that he actually reworked it and then redid it. But his original first movie was supposed to be Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
That's another classic, right?
Wow. Oh God, it's amazing. Yeah. It's not a romantic movie, but it is so good.
Yeah.
But more on that later.
So that's how this movie came about. And also, the whole mystery behind this guy, the director, is that he did maybe 3 or 4 movies, and then now, guess what he's doing?
What is he doing?
He's married with 2 kids, and he's in Ooty making goat cheese.
I remember that. Yeah, he's farming.
Yeah.
And I think he'd come in for a panel discussion for 20 years of Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar or something. And I remember seeing that panel, and he was just like, they were asking him whether he's going to come back and do it. And he was just like, not really. I'm happy farming.
Wow.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, so eccentric, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But his last, he has 2 good movies under his hat. But then the other 2, Akele Hum, Akele Tum and Josh. Although I love Akele Hum, Akele Tum.
I love it, yeah.
But it didn't do that well in the box office. And Josh was pretty not nice. Yeah. It was kind of dull. So yeah.
That's a story about him. And Tanvi, do you want to talk about dialogue delivery in the movie? Because it's between 2 Rajputs, right? Are you Rajput too?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but do you want to talk about
how they talk? Yeah, so they talk with a lot of respect, right? It's the most polite way of speaking in Hindi, if it is out there. So she has she addresses herself as hum and would address you as hum as well. And she's a very polite diction and it's very soft spoken. But what I actually liked about it was her character is pretty straightforward and quite feminist and stands for herself and doesn't beat around the bush when she wants to say something. So one of the interesting observations I made having grown up and seen the movie was that I like how they are able to show an Indian woman who is, polite, who is soft-spoken, but still very assertive and clear about what she wants. And she doesn't get scared about, if put in a difficult situation. Like one of the scenes that come to mind is when Amir's father addresses her, asks her that, do you like him? And she's like, yes, I do. Without being arrogant or without being scared.
Yeah.
And then he's like, does Amir like you? He's like, as far as I know, yes, he does. And, we want to be together. And just, going back that it's a Hindi movie and she's a Hindi movie actress placed in 1980, belonging to a conservative, traditional Indian family. The fact that she was able to just say it is a huge step, which might not seem like that to people who are used to seeing
a lot of feminist women who stand up for themselves.
Or, who just follow current Barfi, Bareli Ki Barfi, or, who've been watching Badrinath Ki Dulhania or something. Yes, those women seem like, oh, this seems part of normal life, but it wasn't in 1980. I can't imagine telling my father that. So yeah, I liked that how they created that character and the language and yeah.
You're absolutely right. Also going back to 1988, Hindi movie was going through the phase where the audience were used to kind of seeing macho men who were all about muscles and fighting and all the action movies and everything. And women were playing second fiddle and they're supposed to be just pretty looking and that's about it. But I think this came at a time when that was what the audience were used to seeing on screen. And then came these two people who were like very young and very cute, but each had their own characters. And we saw Juhi Chawla, who is like, who's very soft spoken, like you said, and she's modestly dressed, but then she's also very strong internally.
Right.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a breath of fresh air, I think, to the to the audience as well.
And she was flirting with Amir. Like, she didn't know that he had already seen her and that he was already like kind of interested in her. Having no idea about that, she was the one who was like taking the first step and asking him to go out and meet on a date or, meet her for photography session. And
which was very forward for a woman in 1988.
Yeah. So I was like pretty impressed with that.
Going back to the dialogue delivery, right? I saw this interview where Juhi Chawla had mentioned about this dialogue delivery, where she said that when they would rehearse the lines, all the hairdressers and makeup people, they would kind of wonder ki ye log kya bana rahe hain types, like, because it was so different, like the dialogue itself was so different for this movie that they used to wonder, oh my god, what are they up?
I can imagine even more because the Hindi which is spoken in Bombay versus the Hindi which is spoken in Delhi, it itself is so stark apart. So now to go even further more into like a politer dialect and politer way of being, that's like completely different. Like, not to say like there's anything wrong with Bombay. Every area has a way of speaking. But Bombay Hindi is very broken. Like, it's like a mishmash of different languages of people who live there. Delhi Hindi is very clean.
Yeah. Compared to Bombay.
To Bombay. And then the Hindi these guys were speaking was way more clean and cleaner. So what were your favorite scenes?
Oh, I think we kind of spoke about it. I love the part where, like you said, Juhi Chawla kind of takes the first step and she's kind of like flirting with him. But she's flirting with him in such a very sweet, the way she speaks. And I thought it was very adorable. So that was one of the things that I really liked. She's like, oh, meet me there in the morning. I'm going to take photos or some photos of the sunrise and all that. Yeah, it was very cute. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like the Amir part of that same scene, exactly the scene you're talking. So yes, Juhi Chawla is doing all of that. But I like Amir. He's like looking at her so cutely, and then he's so sheepish when he gets caught. He's like, she's like, हमने आपकी कुछ तस्वीरें ली थी. And then he's like, because he's told his friends that he has no idea. He's acting as if like, oh, who is she? Oh, yeah, we met her. And then she comes and says, हमने आपकी कल तस्वीरें ली थी. And he's all like, oh. And then he makes this really, really cute, sheepish face. And so I really like that.
That was cute.
I like the whole camp scene. Like, I like how when they go and they are with their friends.
Yeah.
And I really like that the camp, most of the movies, they make it all about the actor and actress. And the whole like camp is around them and they're dancing and they're doing things, but they are the center. Yeah. But here they are just sitting in the corner and they're doing their thing and everybody else is playing and singing and, by the bonfire and not paying any attention to these two. That itself was also different because, here are the lead actor, actresses, nobody's interested in knowing anything about them.
They were just a couple in love for them.
Exactly. They're just part of the whole scene. So I like that. And also like what we noticed, there were a couple of foreshadowing in the movie.
Yes.
So now here is a spoiler alert. If people want to watch this movie and they do not want us to tell them what the end is, they should probably not hear the rest of the podcast till we tell you now you can hear it again.
Yeah.
Forward it for like good 2 minutes. But if you have seen the movie, then you've got nothing to worry about. Then you can go on. So the foreshadowing about the end of the movie, we noticed like there are a couple of scenes which are taking you there. Yeah. And I'm like a person who I watch movies just for this. Like I
soak it in. Yeah.
I soak it in and it's like a research paper I'm writing. So going back to the foreshadowing, there's a scene in the beginning where the grandmother is looking at the palm where, she reads palms and then Juhi Chawla asks her, how's my lifeline? And the grandmother looks at her and he's like, oh, it's your birthday today and, you're not supposed to read palms on your birthday. And then there's another one where they are clicking pictures and then they're like trying to keep the copies like, oh, but you're not supposed to keep the picture with the sunset because that is not good.
Yeah.
That was one. And the other one, the biggest one is like the knife which Amir Khan uses to kill himself in the end. was actually given to him by Juhi Chawla. That's a gift she buys from the hotel gift store to give it to him because she was thinking of him. And that is the knife he uses to kill himself. So I felt like these are like all like nuggets here and there. Yeah. And it's not like I noticed them this time. I noticed them like way before.
I was like, oh my God, you watch your movies like you're doing a research.
I do. I just love knowing like things like background information and like information about who the friend is and who is this person who's like driving the car. And I would like I would remember, like if I see these people in different movies, I'll be like, oh, this is the same person who was driving the car in that movie. And that person's name, like now, actually, I'm glad they actually mention the names in the credits. Like they'll say the person driving the car and the name. But back when I was younger and I used to look at such things, there was no credits. So I had no idea who these people are.
I'm also kind of a little bit like that, where if I like the side character, I would want to like do some research and find out who that person is and what they're up to right now. Because I used to think that I'm weird for thinking of these things and noticing that, right? But yeah. So hopefully the people who are listening to a podcast are our tribe, who also think this is like very normal.
I think, there are probably more people out there who notice such things, but then nobody talks about them. So there's nobody to like discuss it.
To validate it.
There are more, like, I'm sure there are more fanatics like us out there who are
for sure.
noticing everything around it. Yeah. So what else? Did you have any other favorite scenes?
I think that's all I had. Your foreshadowing part is super interesting. Since it is also kind of like adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, like Shakespeare also has a lot of foreshadowing that happens in the book. I think maybe the director wanted to kind of like, stay true to that as well. It was done in such a subtle way in the movie. When you caught all those little things, it kind of like makes a lot of sense.
I wanted to also mention a couple of other actors who are in this movie, like Alok Nath and Rima Lagu, who are a really occurring people on our series of Quintessential Hindi movies. Yeah. And people will hear about them again in our coming episodes. But these two people are in this movie as well, and this time Alok Nath is playing Amir's uncle, his father's elder brother, and Rima Lagu is playing Juhi Chawla's mother. But however, most of the times Rima Lagu gets better screen presence. Over here, she's pretty much in the background. She just has like a couple of lines here and there. Yeah. She still looks stunning, and but I wanted to say, like, there most of the times, except for Hum Saath Saath Hain, I think, where they were couple, every time they're, like, Alok Nath and Rima Lagu are on the opposite sides. Like, one person belongs to the actress's family and the other person belongs to actor's family. And only, like, in Hum Saath Saath Hain, I think they were, like, a husband-wife. But, yeah.
That's interesting.
Those are the two people who are occurring again and again in our series. Yeah. But yeah, so I think to wrap this up, I think this whole movie had a really realistic overall feel. It was a really sweet romantic story. You could relate to it back then, and I think most of the people would be able to relate to it even today.
Yeah.
It has some phenomenal music and really, really cute looking star lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It has the perfect songs. It has awesome acting skills by everyone in the movie, actually. And I think that's credit to the director. And also, I think the term chocolate boy, which is very Indian, right?
I think so, yeah. I've never heard it anywhere else, yeah.
So the term chocolate boy actually came up after this movie, looking at Amir Khan, because, he was this really cute, good-looking young guy and who's very soft-spoken. He's not a typical in Hindi movie men actors who were always like fighting, and there were a lot of revenge action dramas and everything, but he was like a very soft-spoken man. I think it was just the beginning of the whole chocolate boy image for him and also for other actors, I think, who would come up later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We are in 2018 now, and then considering that his movie came out in 88 to 2018, just to see the graph of his work. Wow. It's insane. Like, I wonder if Amir knew back then where he would be in like 30 years. It's like, oh my God, it's crazy.
30 years, absolutely, yeah. One more thing that I read about the ending was Mansoor Khan's dad wanted a happy ending, but Mansoor put his foot down and he told his dad that no, this movie has to have this ending, and so he had to kind of like take a stand to have the ending that we have now.
Yeah, I kind of like the ending. I mean, I know it's sad. Probably back then, I probably must have bawled my eyes out. But now I'm like, I get it. True love doesn't exist. If it exists, it has to you have to die. I mean, if you die together, that's true love, right? Like, you don't have to suffer without each other. And they kind of had the sweet love story, and then they died. It's like there was no...
They didn't have to live up to all the reality of life hitting them.
Exactly. I mean, how long could they have kept that up? Eventually, they would have to get married, have kids, be miserable.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
It's they missed that whole part. They had this sweet love story, and then they died. I'm okay with that. And our last segment about recasting for this movie. I know my opinion is the same as what it was for Bobby. Since there were newcomers in this movie originally, I would still like to see newcomers if it were ever to get made again. Because I think the freshness only comes when you see faces that you haven't seen before.
Right.
Anybody, and all the people who are so-called newcomers or younger people in the industry right now, they're all in their late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
It's too late. You need people in their early 20s at most for this movie. So, fresh casting.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you. So I really I couldn't think of anyone else at present who I would like to recast. Yeah. So I came up with this interesting thing of Would You Rather. Tanvi, are you ready to play?
I'm not ready, but let's go.
Okay. So would you rather have Amir Khan in the movie or the song "Ae Mere Humsafar"?
Oh, think I would have Amir Khan in the movie because, the movie is 2 hours, 40 minutes long and they could always use that song in another movie and I would love it just as much.
But what if that song never got made?
I'd rather lose a song versus lose Amir Khan and his 30 years of amazing work should he have never launched, considering it was his first movie.
Wow. Okay, fair enough. Okay, second, would you rather have Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak or Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar? I know you love both the movies, so.
I know, I already said that I love both the movies. They both can't exist in different, no, just one will be made.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think just purely on the content, I would choose Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar because we have a lot of love stories, but we do not have enough unique content out there, which is Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar, which is complete. You can't put it in any box. It is just one of its kind movie.
Not bad. I thought you'll just die.
I know. I'm very decisive. That's something probably, you don't know about me. I'm very decisive. I can make up my mind very easily.
Oh, wow. Okay, last one. So would you rather have both of them dead, spoiler alert, or would you rather have just one person die at the end and the other have no memory of what happened between them?
No, I think I already answered that. I'm pretty happy with the ending. So I think I'd rather they both die. I think that to me, I know it's very sadistic, but that to me is ultimate love story because you fell in love and then you died. Because, life is overrated overall. If you find a good... If you're having a good end, with somebody you love, that's it. We're all supposed to die, right? So I'd rather die in the arms of somebody I love.
Wow. Nice, Tanvi. I liked all your answers. Yay.
Thanks. You didn't warn me and I don't have anything for you, but be prepared next time.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I hate Would You Rather when I have to answer. So... that was it. I hope you had fun as much as we had while recording this show. We will see you next week with another quintessential Hindi movie. Till then, take care and also catch us on social media at Movie Wala Podcast.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.